Hey guys, this is Mr. Silverstein. We're back for part 2 of atomic structure. Make sure you're updating your notes. We'll talk about some key vocabulary, and then there'll be an assignment when we're done. I'm going to share my screen and let's get started. So our objective today is to understand how scientific discoveries like the atomic structure are based upon the experimentation and build upon each other, which exemplifies the very nature of science. Make sure you're taking your notes. There's some key vocabulary, and there'll be an assignment when we're done. Let's go back and look at the atom again. The atom is the smallest particle of an element that still has the properties of that element. And there are two main parts. You've got the nucleus, which is the center, which has the protons and the neutrons. And then you have the outer part, the electron cloud. The electron cloud holds all of the electrons. Now, let's look at part 1 of that atom, the nucleus. You can draw this illustration in your notes so you have a better understanding of it, and you should be labeling it. The nucleus is the dense center. It's made of the protons and the neutrons. The protons are positively charged, and the neutrons are neutrally charged, meaning they don't have an electrical charge. This is where the mass of the atom is located. The mass of the atom is located in the nucleus. Now, if we label your illustration, you can have some little darker circles inside here of the proton. You should mark those as positive. Then you have the neutrons. They're neutral, or they have a 0 electrical charge. And then we have the electrons. The electrons have a negative charge. So if you go back and think about how things are attracted to each other, positively charged items are attracted to negatively charged items. Opposites attract. Part 2 of the atom is the electron cloud. And I want you to think of this cloud that is around the nucleus. The electron cloud is that space that surrounds the nucleus, and it's broken down into regions of space called shells or energy levels. I want to jot those down for vocabulary words. Shells or energy levels. The electrons in shells further away from the nucleus have the most energy, and the electrons on the outermost energy levels are called valence electrons, and they have the least amount of energy. So imagine for a moment if we're looking at this and superimpose some circles on here, that each electron that's further away from the nucleus has less energy. Now, all of these electrons are negatively charged, meaning that as they get closer to the nucleus and closer to the protons, they're more attracted, and as they're further away, they're less attracted. But the volume of the electron cloud happens from the electrons. The volume of that atom, how that atom gets bigger in volume, is from the electron cloud. Continuing with the structure, there's two parts to the atom. You've got the nucleus, which is the dense center. It's made of protons and neutrons. It's positively charged. And that's where the mass of the atom is located. The electron cloud is the space surrounding the nucleus. It's broken down into regions of space called shells or energy levels. The electrons in the shells further from the nucleus have the most energy, and the electrons in the outermost energy level are called valence electrons. When we move into the Bohr model in a couple of days, you'll see how that actually works. Remember, the electron cloud is negatively charged, and that is where the volume of the atom is located. Now, there are three particles that make up the atom, these subatomic particles, and we've been talking about them a little bit, but let's give them a little bit more detail and put these in for your vocabulary words as well. Proton, P with a superscript plus sign. That means it's positive. It's the positive particle in the nucleus. The neutron, N with a superscript 0, has no electrical charge, is the neutral particle in the nucleus with the protons. And remember we talked about those energy rings? Here's one ring, here's two rings. The electrons, or E negative, are a negative particle outside the nucleus in the electron cloud. And so even though this is a one-dimensional image, I want you to imagine for a moment that this is a three-dimensional image, and the protons and the neutrons stay in the nucleus, but these rings rotate around and the electrons are orbiting around. Sometimes an electron gets near another electron, and because they're negatively charged, they push each other away. And as they get closer to the nucleus, they're more attracted. You can sketch this in your notes. Now remember, these slides are posted in your Google Classroom, so you have access to them all the time. So what holds all of these subatomic particles together? There are forces that hold them together. You have an attractive force between the positively charged nucleus and the negatively charged electron cloud. Remember, opposite electrical charges attract each other. That's what holds the atom together. It's this attractive force that keeps the atom together. Now, there is a repulsive force between the electrons. Those electrons, as they get near each other, they're negatively charged. They want to push away each other. These electrons want to be as far apart from each other as possible. And it's what gives the electron cloud its volume. Because as those electrons get near each other, they want to run away from each other because you've got that negative charge and a negative charge repulse each other. They reject each other and they create that big cloud. And it is also the repulsive force between the protons. As the protons are held together in the nucleus, those protons don't want to be near each other either. They want to push each other out, but they're in the nucleus and they can't really leave too easily. So they're going to be pushing each other apart while they're being attracted to the negatively charged electrons. So you have an attractive force and a repulsive force, and that's what holds this together. There's an insane amount of energy that's holding the nucleus together because of this. Between the negatively charged electrons, the positively charged protons, constantly banging into each other, attracting each other when they are positive and negative, but pushing each other away when they're positive near positive or negative near negative. So there's a neat little video attached here called the electron cloud model. I'd like you to watch that. It only takes a couple of minutes. You can pause here and look at it, or when you're done with this overall discussion, you can open that up separately. So let's do a quick review of the atomic structure. The atom is the smallest particle of an element that still has the properties of that element and is made of two primary parts. It has the nucleus, which is the dense center made of protons and neutrons, and it is positively charged. And then you have the electron cloud, which is the space surrounding the nucleus, broken down into regions of space called shells or energy levels, and it's negatively charged. And so we work today with the atom and the atomic structure and the atomic theory that we subscribe to, that we know today is the most used, is the electron cloud model. So you've done some great work today. Make sure you update your notes, and then jump out and move on to the assignment for today, which is the atomic structure part 2 recap. Well, that's all I have for you today. Remember, tomorrow you're having your exam on matter. Make sure you study for that, and we'll see you next time. You guys have a great day.